Hi, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We got Game 2 of Immortals Academy taking on Team Liquid Academy coming your way in just a few moments. Team Liquid Academy, after a very close first 10 minutes of the game, Team Liquid finally exploded thanks to their objective control and being able to secure all the dragons in the game, and eventually just walked away with an 8,000 gold lead by the time the game ended, and just ran a majority of team fights. Viper almost had a moment of being able to trade back with the his Aurelia, but it was Team Liquid favor for a majority of the game, Smacks.
Yeah, we know Viper. We know how crazy he can be when it comes to those team fights, but even he was not quite enough for them to make this comeback happen. Because as you can see right here, these team fights from Team Liquid were just very, very clean. And I credit a lot of that to Ayla's Rel. This is not a champion that is very meta right now. You have to have a good position to be picking it. It's not something that you can just blind pick anymore, as it was really broken before, but the fact that he was able to find it in a good matchup here, and the fact that he was able to make it work so well is really impressive, and I'm glad we still get to see him pull out this champion that he's very comfortable with.
Yeah, see, even in this moment, you see that despite being down gold, Viper is able to potentially turn things around in a 3-on-5. But Team Liquid immediately recognize that and say, okay, you know what, Viper? Stop that. You can't do that anymore. We got it. We're gonna have to put you down. And for Team Liquid, we actually got a chance to speak with Jan, the ADC or the bottom laner for this team before the match started, and we got to ask a few questions just about not only this upcoming match and having Jenkins and Armeo back in the lineup, but also kind of their overall goals and reflection of the entire summer split. You know, one of the things that I think was super cool to see is that since Armeo and Jenkins are back in, you know, we asked if, with all the sub situations, you know, has it, you know, what's the dynamic change that comes back into play with the full starting roster rather than having Inori and or Dokla? And you know, like Team Liquid have said, either from Jan's perspective or from their coach Spawn's perspective, they're able to work with any of the members, but it does change up how they allocate resources around the map here, Smacks.
Yeah, and I think that definitely makes sense. You know, I think Jenkins definitely has a reputation in the scene of being the king of weak side in the top lane. And I'd say that even though Dokla has been playing some weak side a little bit on this team, he is a little bit more of a carry for us. He won a lot of games being the carry on Wildcard Red earlier in the split as well. So, yeah, that definitely makes a lot of sense. Switching in and out players will definitely do that. But this version of Team Liquid Academy, no hate to Dokla or Inori for subbing in dire straits, looks so strong. And they have been all throughout this entire year. I really do appreciate the way that this team is playing. And when they are playing these 5 players, I feel like this is a squad that can contest the top of that table and could potentially just win the entirety of Proving Grounds outright.
Considering how difficult of a start it was for Team Liquid at the beginning of summer season, I think it is not only remarkable, but also something to celebrate if you are a Team Liquid fan, because going from Spring Split, where they ended the regular season in second place, and then even though there wasn't an official Academy playoffs, sometimes me and Smacks like to think of the Arena of Legends tournament as the unofficial Academy playoffs tournament. The only one that could not participate was Cloud9, but Team Liquid did win that tournament, and unfortunately had a very early exit in the Proving Grounds tournament of spring back in April. And so Team Liquid want to have a better showing going into Proving Grounds, and looking at, you know, back at kind of the answers in the conversation we had with Jan, something that he's felt they've really improved on as a team is their mid game and their side laning macro has improved tremendously since that time. And what I just have to include this little tidbit. We were asking on, you know, what the dynamic was between the junglers, and talking about how does that change with Ayla and his interactions with the laning phase. And, you know, having Armeo in, who they've quoted as being more resource intensive and taking more for to make carry performances, whereas Inori was a little more selfless, giving resources to the rest of the team. But because you have Armeo, and it does take away Ayla, but, he's also commented that Ayla is very handsome. So, the synergy between those two is very charming, and you could see that it was coming through in this first game.
Yeah, and you could feel the handsomeness, I think, from the spectating as well. We could just feel.
I think it was Deathless as the Rel in that game.
The Chad energy on Rel, I'd say, for Ayla, looking real sharp. As we do get into this final game of the day for both of these two teams. We still have another series after this, but this is going to be the last showing that we get of them before they get into the playoffs, as both teams are locked there. And for Team Liquid, now that they have subbed in this main roster, this huge force of a team, they are 3-0 on the week, looking to go 4-0, looking to find that perfect run. And I'd say for their match against Immortals, I don't want to pigeonhole either team into one specific play style, but for Immortals, who typically does really like to play around their top side of the map, it does kind of feel like a bad matchup on paper into Team Liquid, for the reasons that we saw in that last game, where Team Liquid with Jenkins, with Armeo, were able to hold down the fort so well, and Harry too, where I actually really loved the early play that Jenkins made, just roaming to mid lane, getting a nice top lane gank off in mid lane for Harry to get him snowballing too, and making sure that he has a fun time in the Gwen matchup, which is very difficult to do. So nice for Team Liquid as a whole, and it really led to them getting to this really strong, really big force that we got to see at the end of that game, and maybe going into this next game too, as we've got the draft coming up very shortly.
Yeah, and I like that you touched upon the early impact against Pretty's Gwen in the mid lane, because I think that was something that we didn't really get a chance to celebrate enough for Team Liquid, because being able to stunt Pretty on Gwen early on, even though that we talked about that there was always the potential for a late game scaling factor in Gwen, it never really came through to fruition for Immortals Academy, and so it always seemed like the majority of the damage was coming from Viper and Keith in those fights, and that's just not going to be enough when the rest of Team Liquid are firing on all full cylinders here. As Immortals Academy, we're going to be taking to the Rift on blue side in the second game of this series. Team Liquid already eliminating one of the most potently annoying and powerful blindly safe picks in the bottom lane in the Ziggs. Varus was also banned as a response from Immortals Academy, and the Thresh as well.
Still, the most powerful junglers on the patch are available, Zinzhou and Diana both. Seems to be a theme across the games that we've seen so far, that Zinzhou gets banned and Diana
But he's going to answer with Trundle, right? Yeah.
It does go the other way, yeah. It very well could be the Trundle. Yeah, all right. Jungle God Drafter himself, Robbie, is here to make the calls, and where there's a Zinzhou, there's a Trundle.
I mean, we talked about it earlier during the TSM Cloud9 series that some other junglers have Olaf as their counter pick of choice into the Xin Zhao. Armeo is the only one that we've seen in the Academy that has gone to the Trundle as their preferred counter pick, taking up the full timer as they want to discuss what they want as their second pick on the response. There are things like the Kalista available if you want to give Jan a little bit of lane presence, but and again, you also have to be concerned about the Draven. We saw Raze pull it out in the LCS team for Immortals. I would not be surprised if Keith, a.k.a. Le Toucan, can also pull that pick as well.
We will just have to see, but one thing's for certain, Rafa, the Xin Zhao for Anda is going to be a little bit spooky. No matter what counter pick you have for this champion, it is still so strong on this patch. Not nerfed until 11-16, it is still in peak condition. So for Anda, having this huge pressure valve that he can now just use very well across the Rift is going to be really big for Immortals. We'll find out what they're pairing with it. It's feeling like it might be Lulu. Nope. All right, so they're going for the LeBlanc Syndra trade that you mentioned at the top of the day.
Yeah, we didn't really see it in the first series because it was mostly set into Silas and... Yeah. I'm trying to remember the second matchup of the day.
Was Gwen? I don't know. It was set. Yeah. It was set in both games, so we haven't gotten to see Syndra and LeBlanc quite yet. But them coming into play here, LeBlanc has been tearing up games across the Rift and Academy, especially. Just yesterday, we got to see some amazing performances. Most notably, JoJo. Even though Evil Geniuses did lose, he was racking up so many kills on that champion, and On the other side, Pretty will be locking in the Syndra, just recently buffed, so a lot more mana to use in the lane, and we're going to get to see that matchup play out. One of the most classic mid-lane skill matchups of League of Legends history.
Yeah, Syndra LeBlanc was a heavy matchup that we saw not only traded between 100 Thieves and Evil Geniuses yesterday, but also for fans who have been watching the semi-pro scene. If you tuned into EGL this past week, we also saw Syndra and LeBlanc being traded quite extensively. And the matchup always kind of works out that Syndra gets to have a little bit more wave manipulation and early priority thanks to just the early level ones. If you can chunk out LeBlanc, then you'll have wave control, but LeBlanc has better access to late game poke and assassination potential. And of course, as you said as well, Smacks, if you can't land the Scatter the Weak stun, then you are sitting duck for the LeBlanc to annihilate.
LeBlanc has a lot of kill threat in this lane, depending on what Pretty wants to do with his Scatter the Weak. Well, what he wants to do is stun Harry, but we'll see if he can do this. I think a better way to put it. We're seeing now the priority for Leona is still very high. Joey was the one who's been playing this champion a lot over the course of this week, but he denied away Ayla getting his hands on that champion, and a lot of other supports are taken off the board. The Nautilus Rel and Tom Kench, which can be a support sometimes, have all been banned away alongside Jenkins Camille, but Jenkins is going to get that 5th pick counter pick as Yon takes up Ezreal.
If you remember back on 100 Thieves Next, Mr. Smacks, you'll know that Jan's Ezreal was by far one of his best picks alongside the Senna, and being able to play
it was blind after all. This is Viper's
It's
Kalista.
the Viper Kalista! Oh my god!
The Viper Kalista. Okay, so this is a pick that he's been having in the works over the entire year.
Yeah.
I gotta say, blind picking this pick when there's a Trundle and a Leona there, this is very risky for Viper to be pulling out, but you know what? He's doing it all the same.
So, do Team Liquid pick a ranged champion for themselves, or do they? Because, I mean, there's the Vayne, there's the... if you want to go Tristana solo top lane as well, or you can go for someone that has a lot of crowd control, and then Armeo just needs to book it towards the top side of the map. Jenkins, I mean, Kennen is technically not a marksman, but he is ranged, right? As looks like it's going to be the Gangplank as the counterpick of choice. You can contest kinda level 1 with Parlay, but I mean that has a cooldown. But Viper
you don't
has
want
auto attacks. So yeah, I mean, okay.
Jenkins is picking this champion for his team, not for the lane right now. If he lands a barrel, sweet. Maybe he can do something then. But until that happens, Viper is going to feel pretty good. But again, like I was saying before, Armeo's playing this Trundle, and Pillar is not an ability that Kalista has a fun time with. So the top jungle matchups for both teams are going to be pretty tricky, and are going to be very, very swingy either way, depending on which jungler gets there first.
I'm looking up Kalista top lane win rates into Gangplank. Just out of curiosity. I know this is not solo queue, right? And it's, like you said, he's not picking it for the laning phase. And just trying to see how can Jenkins maximize his sustain and his ability to survive the laning phase against Kalista. I imagine... Okay, so this is what I was thinking that was going to happen. If they're going to use Kalista, Team Liquid have to plan like an early level 1, but Joey is trying to answer in response. Oh. Jenkins is going to try to bait them into the bush, potentially, but the ward comes out in anticipation. And Immortals are like, okay, they plan for the 5-man, a cheese, and Viper... notably, does not burn any summoners in that exchange. Had Team Liquid found that advantage, then Viper doesn't get to exude the same threat and dominance in lane.
There's going to be some fun emotes that are spammed, and Ayla gets a nice chunk of gold. I am curious to know who Viper actually bound with the spear, though. I'm not sure who that was. Thank you, observers. It was Anda.
Yeah. Come on.
Shout out to our observing and production team. Always got our back right there.
Yes. We actually, you know what's, hold that thought. There's a ward there. It's going to spot out Ayla and Armeo going for the late invade, but Joey waiting over the wall. Would they go for a re-engage with the grand entrance and follow up?
What they're looking to do, I think, Rock Buzz. Here it comes.
Oh, there's a grand entrance. There's a dash from Anda, and Armeo's on the run, but a flash forward from Joey. Just one more auto attack. First blood for Immortals Academy.
Very sneaky there for Immortals. They had that ward on the entrance, like you pointed out, and with the wherewithal to back away to the safety of his team. So much engage potential, so much crowd control, and Armeo, even with his flash, is just left to die right there. And look at this. Anda is not done with him yet. Armeo, he knows that he does not have any camps taken quite yet, and Anda did not use his smite. This is one way to snowball the matchup, Rafa.
And thanks to Pretty being on the Syndra in the level 1, he gets the early push on the Harry, so Anda gets to do this for free. Armeo is going to have to count on the smite, but Anda just has to engage on...
oh, my.
Oh, no.
Anda got it, too.
Oh, my goodness. See, this is the stuff that, coming from the semi-pro scene back in spring, we are used to seeing. And now look at this wave. It is stacking against Jenkins. But Harry might find a solo kill opportunity on the Pretty. Forces both the summoner spells, but still keep an eye on Anda. He's waiting his time. Viper is now slowly pushing in this wave. Anda's going to be able to collect on to the next mid wave. This is what we've seen in semi-pro back on No Org this entire year before the Immortals Academy Summer came through. Jenkins has to flash out, though. Viper gets the Ren, and there's the dive successful.
I was a little worried for Viper as he auto-attacked the turret first, but Halo Blades has his back in the end, and yeah, exactly like you just said, Rafa. Viper and Anda have been doing this together all year long. It does not change when they get to Academy. If you're Jenkins, if you're Armeo, you have to be careful of the Viper Anda show that we are now watching on our screens.
It's been such a beautiful early game plan coming out from Immortals Academy. Not only deflecting first the 5-man stack that was going into the top side, potentially looking for a cheese on one of Viper's sums, then the deflection of the red buff invade, then capitalizing as Anda naturally wants the path towards top side anyway, and because you had Pretty pushing in that mid lane, it succeeds in making sure that Armeo has no support whatsoever, and then falling into the dive afterwards. I mean, like, just the first 4 minutes of this game has been so well played from Immortals. It doesn't mean the game is completely over, but this is such a strong start that in the past, whenever Anda and Viper have pulled this off, the game usually leads to doomsday for the enemy team.
Definitely does, and we got a chance to talk to Viper before the games yesterday, and the biggest thing that he said his team has been working on is snowballing leads and not throwing them, more specifically, because they have had a bunch of opportunities where they have had explosive early games like this, haven't been able to close it out. They've been working on it. They made it work against Cloud9 yesterday, and they're going to have to do it again.
Uh-oh, Keith pulled off the cleanse, though, and Ayla and Yon are able to turn things around, picks up a double for Yon.
So Yon is the only champion for Immortals that they have to be really worried about, because Immortals do have a very early game focused competition. They don't scale very well, and Yon does. So Yon getting this double kill is probably the worst possible thing that could happen in this game of League of Legends for Immortals, but for Team Liquid, they are really thanking their lucky stars that they got both of those kills, especially onto Yon, who is now pushed in that bottom wave, will be able to recall and pick up a couple of nice components for his items.
Ayla, even on the top side of the map, just having to be extra protection because Joey did have a roam timer off of the level, the 2v2 all-in. Ayla clearing out some vision, potentially looking for a chance onto Viper, but they have vision of it, so Viper is going to be just fine and safe as they're able to kite away and deflect the 2v3.
No, Rafa, from our good friend Kelsey Moser, if you die first, then you gain the tempo. It's the good part about dying. So Ayla gets to the top lane first. There's the wards to spot him out, but
Hashtag live evil, baby.
Could have been fun.
This wave is in a pretty difficult spot for Viper, though, as Jenkins, even though Viper still has a massive CS lead over Jenkins, this gives Jenkins a little bit of safety. There's not a chance for him to be dove, but also, well, speaking of dives, Pretty is roaming over, and Jan is getting pushed off. They said, hey, you know that double kill that they just picked up? It means it's a nice potential bounty to collect, but the cannon barrage comes out from Jenkins, going to slow the engage from the rest of Immortals.
Wow.
A teleport comes out as well from Harry, and a beautiful response from Team Liquid completely salvages the attempted dive from Immortals, and now they're on the chase. They're able to make it out alive, but they still lost Anda in the process.
It's not fast enough on the play. It's very difficult to kill Jan in that instance because he does have his flash, does have his arcane shift, and even heal to boot. Uses them all, so they will have an opportunity later, but this Ezreal champion, turns out, is pretty tricky to kill. Gonna stay around in the bot side, but a recall comes through from Pretty just to try to get back to the mid lane. And speaking of mid lane, Harry has been able to move around and manipulate this wave in the way that he wants, and does still have that flash over Pretty. And by that, I mean, they both did use the flash, but Harry's a much more mobile champion by nature, so getting Pretty's flash down means a little bit more in that regard.
Oh, God. Multiple things that it could happen. There's a 4-man dive that is about to occur onto the bottom side of the map. Keith flashing forward onto Aelin, knowing that he is tanking third aggro, but Jan is able to pick up Keith and Joey before any reprimands come in through. Anda was here for the counter gank, but now he might be left all by himself. It is a 1 of 4. I don't know if he's getting out of this one.
Pretty's on the way. Does just hit level 6.
Crescent Guard comes out. Who's taking turret aggro? It's still Harry. He has the flash away, but a stun. Beautiful Scattered Leaf stun is going to land onto 2, and he should be able to pick up a double right here. Just one more auto attack from Pretty. He's able to pick one back up for Immortals. We've got a hell of a game.
Yeah, we absolutely do. And so smart there, diving onto the minions, using all his cooldowns there, which would otherwise mean that he is instantly killed, but just barely gets him level 6, activates the Crescent Sweep. Or Crescent Guard, rather. Sweep was the old one. This play for Team Liquid is very aggressive. Like I was saying, the window of execution is really there for Harry, because he has a lot of mobility. He can get to this wave before Pretty can, and they play this very well. But very tricky to kill on this Xin Zhao. Not only is this champion very oppressive in the early game, but tricky to kill too.
Oh, this was so scary. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
So also heads up scatter of the week from Pretty as
It's
well.
both of them.
Now, one thing that we didn't get a chance to catch in the replay, as on the top side of the map, I think Viper had zoned Jenkins off of a huge wave that he had slow built and stacked up, because at one point he was only 20 CS up. Now he's about 40. And Anda is here to punish Jenkins even further as he gets the knockup down. Jenkins won't go down yet, still has flash and little oranges, but still, Jenkins is just suffering.
Forces the cannon barrage use on the minion wave just to make sure that Jenkins doesn't lose out on that many minions. He's still down about 40 though, so Jenkins has definitely had stronger games in the early game. Ones where he has not been dove at level 3 perhaps, but it's not getting any better for him. Viper really knows how to move around this top lane and make those advantages turn into wins. That's something that he has been doing all year long, from no org to now on the Academy squad for Immortals. He's had some ups and downs, you know, playing from Canada on such high ping before to now where he's on the brink of maybe finding a 3-1 week in the final week at the Academy. Much better results in the back end of the split. And it's because of performances like these.
It's a beautiful game plan that came out from Immortals Academy. So far, there have been great answers from Team Liquid on the bottom side of the map, but so far Viper has been unaffected and not stunted in his acceleration and his snowball so far. Still sitting about 40 CS above Jenkins in that top lane matchup, which means the Immortal Shield build Mythic will be completed way faster than Jenkins' Divine Sunder completion.
Liking Joey diving in with his W, but didn't hit both of the enemy champions, and again, wasn't quite in position. I feel like Joey in his Leona games and now in the Rakan games are kind of concerning me a little bit. Is he is a little bit ahead of his team sometimes, and as an engaged support, that is something that you have to be very careful of, especially on Rakan, where you're very squishy. You will be killed if you take one wrong move. I definitely experienced a lot of that in our Wild Rift. Different game, but still pretty similar for Rakan.
Well,
he will die.
That's because you went full AP like an idiot.
Well,
so.
Call me an idiot? Come on.
Yeah, I'm just hey, it's friendly banter. Friendly banter. I'm just.
I understand. I'm sorry I trolled your ranked games, okay? I just wanted to have some fun.
Don't worry, guys. Smacks flames me all the time. We mutually flame each other. If you can't flame your best friends, then what's the point of this
Mark
friendship?
deserves it every time.
I do. Yeah. Immortals do want to prep for this dive onto the top side as the top lane turret is falling by the wayside. Ayla has to flash away from this engage as all the Immortals members are just stacked up. Armeo's got nowhere else to run. Jenkins trying to help and I assist in the process, but it's already too late. He's got to flash away, but the knockup for the 3-talent strike from Anda, Crescent Guard,
Nice.
and even for the extra damage ensures the double comes out for Anda.
Great combo from Anda there, layering all the crowd control and all the damage from Xin Zhao. You can tell that even though this champion gets banned a lot, still has a lot of comfort on this champion. Maybe it's able to be picked in solo queue, I don't know, if the jungle pool is okay. Feels like Xin Zhao isn't actually that annoying. I'd personally rather ban Shaco than Xin Zhao, so Anda finding a lot of comfort there. And another nice play in this top side means that Viper gets to take down that full turret, but has to worry about this teleport now. Double teleport.
Uh-oh. Viper, can you outplay this one? I don't think so. It does dodge out on some chains, but the shutdown goes over to Harry, and that's quite a nice gold bounty swinging into the mid laner for Team Liquid, who, on an assassin like LeBlanc, you definitely need the gold spike to make sure that you can pop these very volatile carries that Immortals do have.
Especially the Immortal Shield bow, like you said. This is important that he does get the damage. Now with a Luden's Echo, or Tempest rather, I think it's called now. Gonna have an easier time doing that. 3 kills on LeBlanc, and a lot of that hasn't really been in his own lane. Anda, find Armeo.
I think Armeo's fine. He's able to walk back out. Oh God,
Anda's
not fun. Hey, remember that burst damage we talked about that Harry might be able to sport? You know, he's coming out close. He's chunked about half HP. But Jenkins is still on the other side, just whacking away against the turret, using the cannon barrage, slowing away the resolve. Wow. And the rest of Team Liquid are just on the chase.
Yawn.
Okay, well.
He's got a full Trinity Force on this Ezreal. He is not messing around. 6 kills on him now. Participating in nearly every single kill in this early game, which for Immortals has been very based around topside, so you'd think that it would be mostly Jenkins doing that, but no, it's Yawn who's every single place on the map. The bot lane turret's going to fall eventually for Team Liquid. Top side, the mid lane, they're pressuring all these turrets so well, picking up the standing gold, and once they've done so, they will match that gold lead that currently Immortals has, but Team Liquid finding these skirmishes means that they will take it instead.
Yawn has picked up pentakills, or at least one on this Ezreal before. I think it was during his time on 100 Thieves next. Jenkins experiencing a little bit of the same fate that Viper experienced just a little bit a couple of minutes ago, as even through the Ignite, when Becomes Lightning finds its mark, Jenkins almost made it out alive.
To quote the great coach Jake Tiberi, "My ADC Yawn is the greatest. I will give all my fortunes to him. He is a god. He is the one who gave us light and the passage to the gates of the skies. Thank you, Yawn."
Beautiful. It's a hell of a verse right there. Could you do it 3 times fast?
No.
Don't you don't have to do it.
He also doubled down later and said, "How could you possibly think that Yawn could have written this? Of course, this is my own opinion." Which, yeah, I fully agree with Jake. I mean, there's no possible way that anyone could think that he'd be lying. Yawn is the greatest.
we do have a little bit of a soft spot for Jan. As I mean, there's a lot of players that we have soft spots for. We saw Viper and Anda come up through the semi-pro scene, improving grounds through no org, and we know that Anda and Viper have had LCS experience, but watching their growth and finding their confidence again was awesome to see. But also for seeing Jan coming from 100 Thieves next, that was just an awesome moment in itself. And back in summer 2020. And Immortals Academy.
Off now.
Yeah, I mean, 6-1-4, 5-1-2 on Harry. These are the two players that Team Liquid have to rely on to be swinging the momentum in their favor, because just 10 minutes ago, we were saying that Immortals Academy were very far ahead with the advantage that they got for Viper as a true shot barrage. Oh! God damn, Jan, what can you not do? True shot barrage from downtown finds the mark. This is...
Look at that emote. I didn't even know that emote existed. Is that supposed to be Kindred?
Honestly, that was my face. Literally, that emote was my face. Oh!
He's still doing it. He knows.
He knows,
like,
man.
He's like, oh, Rafa Smacks cast my game. This is what they look like right now.
Oh
okay.
my god, I'm having a fun time, Smacks.
Oh yeah. So Immortals just off the back of taking Dragon here. Great scatter of the week, I will say, but the sniper from Jan. Ooh. Amazing stuff.
Yeah. Team Liquid have done a miraculous job of being able to swing the game back into their favor, considering how far down Jenkins still is against Viper in this matchup. I mean, Viper was insanely ahead, but the fights that Team Liquid were able to turn around, especially in that bottom quadrant around the blue buff, in that choke point, Viper kind of baited himself into the rest of the team, and Team Liquid are able to capitalize, and now you have this monstrously fed Jan Ezreal and Harry LeBlanc who can just pop any of these squishy members from Immortals, and they're looking to capitalize, making this dive happen.
Nice.
They've taken down the turret. Harry's got nowhere else to run. Ignite will be ticking down onto the right target. Harry tries to go for a return kill, but a beautiful flash from Pretty escapes the distortion damage that was coming through. But Jan is pushing through the mid lane turret, trying to find an advantage back for Team Liquid.
We played that really well. Very nice patience on the Rakan. Just casting your ultimate. You do have a nice window where you can just sit there and whoever comes into your range will get charmed. So waiting for Harry at the distortion spots and you kill after that. Finding a great shutdown. And for Immortals, they are going to need to make more plays like that. They did take that dragon, like we were talking about before, and making their way toward the potential Cloud Soul for themselves is going to feel pretty good. They're always going to take a lot of damage right now. Oh yeah.
Whoa, my goodness. Jan is doing so much work, and Pretty's got nowhere else to run. He already burned the flash from the previous fight. Look at Jan! Dude, Team Liquid, Armail's just running for the hills. He said, give me a piece of that Rakan, baby. Gets the chomp down, bites it down like groceries, man. And Team Liquid Academy, they are just running through Immortals. They're trying to find re-engages, and even Viper, who has this monstrous lead against Jenkins, cannot do enough just by himself against Team Liquid right now.
And in the enemy team's base for Team Liquid, ravaging around the rift. This 2-item Ezreal does so much damage. You can't get away from it. He has infinite range with the True Shot Barrage. Joey falls for a 5th time in this game, just trying to make these plays happen for Immortals. But Team Liquid's skirmish game is on point with this roster in. Armeo just diving over these walls. Time to troll!
Right now, Joey taken out of the fight, and then just beautiful stuff from Ayla, capitalizing on Pretty not having the flash, and just, you don't even need the Essence Flux, just the Mystic Shot enough did half of Pretty's HP bar, man.
Yeah. And, I mean, Viper, they're trying to get this engage off, but look at Ayla. He tanks the turret on Leona, knowing that's going to deal less damage to him, and knowing he needs to keep his carries alive. And yes, I did just refer to Trundle as a carry, sue me.
Hey man, he's got Divine Sunder.
Very well. Oh yeah, I know. He is a carry. I did not lie.
Honestly, I'm a bigger fan of the Divine Sunderer build on Trundle than past Trundle builds where it was Redemption Rush. Ugh, God. That felt
Redemption,
awful.
Locket, Knight's Vow.
Man, you're just a
Gross.
higher income support at this point, and that as a jungle man that likes to carry rather than be the one being carried, that it feels bad when that was the meta.
Might as well play Jungle Janna at that point. Now,
I mean, Ivern does exist.
That's true, actually. You get Daisy then instead of Monsoon. So
see, but Daisy is cool, man, because you got a 6-man and you just send them to people and you get free knockouts. So.
I think Daisy's a little bit more impactful in teamfight tactics, where your opponents cannot just simply run away from her. But she's still kind of cool in Rift as well. Anyway, we're talking a lot about Ivern when we should be talking about Alo's getting engaged on.
He's trying to stall as much time as he can. Joey using the quickness in the grand entrance. Doesn't take down Ayla quite yet, even through the Scatter the Weak, as finally it's enough damage to come through, but they trade one back on an Anda. True Shot Barrage. Why does True Shot Barrage does so much damage? I mean, Yon is so far accelerated.
It's a frozen heart, and it doesn't matter.
I mean, the base damage on True Shot Barrage is actually disgusting, and it does magic damage as well. So, and considering that most of these members are not building magic resist outside of Wit's End for Mr. Viper here, it is... Yon is level 13. He is the same level as Viper, who was receiving a majority of the solo lane experience in the side lane. So, it just goes to show how monstrous Yon is right now.
He is shredding through every single member. You know, earlier today, Rafa, we did get NXI breaking the record for most kills in a single academy summer split game. Yon is half of that right now. We'll see if he can actually match that or maybe go even further beyond as Viper dragging Anda back to safe. No kills quite yet, as the Baron is definitely up for grabs. Liquid threatening to go for it with every single move that they make. Immortals still struggling to find leeway in their own jungle.
You know what's awesome about Jenkins' build right now? This Serpent's Fang is a really nice, like, yes, it's the most cost-efficient lethality purchase that you could make, but also you consider it utility, because Jenkins was behind Viper, but whenever he lands a barrel on the Viper or Joey, you're going to cut through the Battle Dance shield and the Immortal Shield Bow shield as well, so you're still providing a lot for the team. And I mean, the Serpent's Fang is just such a gnarly eyesight.
Feels good for Jenkins. It's very cheap, too. Locking that one in. Not only all those, he also helped the Killer Instinct one. Although, if Keith gets hit by a barrel, he's probably dead already. Let's be completely clear here. As Jenkins, you know, he's even helping out with the Chempunk Chainsword. He's going for the heal reduction, too. This is a very utility-based Gangplank build for the proclaimed god of weak side top.
I mean, if you're able to withstand the oppression of the classic Viper Callista paired up with Anda continuously diving and having such a massive advantage, I mean, we have to go back to the point that at 4 or 5 minutes into the game, we were very certain that Immortals Academy were going to win, because when we saw this in semi-pro, there was no chance for enemy teams. But Team Liquid just being able, because it wasn't off of Jenkins or Armeo, they were the ones that had to be put in the backpack of Harry and Yon and Ayla and say, okay guys, we're behind, we're counting on you. And Yon and Harry said, bet, we got this. And now, it is a 5,000 gold lead for Team Liquid at 25 minutes into the game. 2 dragons to their favor. Next one spawning in about 1:30. Team Liquid, they're the ones pressuring Immortals towards their base.
Yon feeling the confidence flowing within him. Still just going for all these Mystic shots. As a reminder, Joey did have a shield for that one. 8 through the entire shield and still did a chunk of damage. See it still going. Solar Flare just to pressure them off of this turret. Anda might have just been killed. Fate's Call saves the day yet again, but turret cannot be Fate's Called away. That one's going to fall. Team Liquid still flexing their gold lead. They're up to 5,000, and they're still going nice dodge away from the Scatter.
And just look at the poke that comes out from Team Liquid. You have Yon firing Mystic shots. Jenkins, if he lands a barrel, will also do decent damage. And then if Scatter the Weak or any CC abilities are used preemptively, it gives Harry a free access pass to Distortion in and get a QE combo off into someone. And that will do some serious damage as another inhibitor turret, or the first inhibitor turret of the game, will fall. Team Liquid just slowly choking the lives out of Immortals Academy as they make their way towards pressuring into the base.
Drake's going to be up here pretty soon here. Team Liquid, they've got 2 of them. Not going to be pretty close to the Drake soldier. Really is. Alright, Immortals were thinking about doing something, but they're just not quite in range. And it's so hard to engage onto Yon. He is relatively low on mana, but as a reminder, he has Frozen Heart, he has a full mana mune. The number is still very high. You can see in the bottom left of your screen it's up to about 400, 500, even though it's not a very high percentage of his mana bar. Still very safe.
This just means that Yon will never die to Viper in a 1v1. It just... It should not be the case. At this point, you are counting on Immortals to CC lock him down or Pretty to annihilate him, because there, up until about 5 seconds ago, there was no magic resist on Yon, but now he is invested into a Hex Drinker, and that's going to be a Maul of Malmortius. So now, Yon has effectively picked up enough resistances to mitigate a bunch of burst damage, or really a lot of chances for Immortals Academy to get the shutdown onto Yon. Yon would have to be excruciatingly overextended at this point before Immortals could realistically kill him.
He still has his summoner spells too, so even through all the tank stats he's got, still very difficult to kill. And honestly, it's pretty funny that Ezreal could just go for a full bruiser build once he gets his first 2 items, because realistically, this is a bruiser build. You go 2 damage items and then the rest is full tank. That's what we're seeing right here from this marksman champion. It doesn't matter. He has so much damage, and he's so far ahead of Keith too, who's still sitting at just 2 items. Flank potential over this wall. I don't think Pretty is thinking about flashing over, but maybe could have found a Scatter the Weak just backing away. And we're getting to the point of the game where Immortals, they are the early game champions. They are these champions that don't do a lot when it comes to the later stages of the game, and they're not trying to do a lot either.
Well, Jenkins will give his life for the greater cause, his life for Ire, as the rest of Team Liquid will invest into finishing the Baron. Immortals are here trying to respond. Double teleports are coming out from Viper and Pretty. They're going to have to get in here fast. 1,400 in the Baron. Oreo secures it, but Immortals, they have the numbers advantage. Can they clean up the fight here? Yon was shut down. That's a majority of the damage over to Team Liquid after everything we said, that there is no way for Yon to go down. Immortals find the miracle.
Wow, a miracle is exactly the word that I was use, Rafa, because that was insane. They had both of their members with the teleports down in the bottom lane, shutting down Jenkins, and then they both came back to the play so intelligent to shut down all of that utility, all of that threat that Jenkins presented to them. Don't get the Baron on Immortals, so they don't really have an easy way to snowball that fight win into something else, but a fight win in it of itself is completely amazing for Immortals to find.
Oh my god. I'm gonna look at Yon.
Let's look at what Yon, yeah.
How does... So he Arcane shifts away. Oh, the quickness charm, and then Keith finds him on the assassination as well. Oh, man.
Still stayed alive for a long time.
Yeah.
All that damage.
He was...
Viper's turn, though.
He was really in the thick of it. And so is Viper.
Yeah.
God.
Yep.
Oh, good night, sweet
Through
prince.
Wit's End... Doesn't matter.
Well, it is a Void Staff LeBlanc at this point.
Yeah. This is a strong LeBlanc. And all the crowd control there, too. This is why I was concerned that Viper was actually picking this champion into all the crowd control of Leona and Trundle, but... You know, he's definitely had a lot more good plays than bad ones in this game. I don't want to take that away from him. Still a big carry force for his team, but with the Baron only on Ayla, I believe. Oh, no, excuse me, it's also on Armeo. Team Liquid are still pressuring the base of Immortals, even though they did lose out on that fight.
course, double stopwatch is available for Harry and Jan, so a little bit more safety. And despite being able to get the kill onto Jan last time, I don't think Immortals are going to be able to pull another trick out of the hat. Team Liquid are able to do away with Anda and take away the bottom inhibitor. Mid inhibitor was already taken. They're going to be pushing through empowered minions plus this super minion. Terry's going to be looking for poke. Jan also looking for poke as well, thanks to the Mystic shots. You have another wave being pushed in by Jenkins. Team Liquid just systematically taking apart Team Liquid's base. All open inhibitors now as the mid inhibitor will respawn, but a huge minion wave in favor of Team Liquid is pounding away at the Nexus turrets. Harry going in for poke, trying to zone away. Pretty. Keith on the back lines trying to look for the assassination attempt, but it's all for naught. Team Liquid, though, it might have been enough to push them away, but it's still another minion wave in favor of Team Liquid as Jenkins has teleport. He's looking for the recall, trying to respawn, but Anda has respawned, so this might be enough, and Team Liquid are going to finally take their leave.
That's it for now for Team Liquid. Immortals can take at least one sigh of relief, but the Break Soul is available, so it's really not going to feel amazing that they just saved their base. Yeah, you didn't lose, but you probably are still going to lose eventually. Team Liquid still have a massive, massive lead. And all this ultimate ability haste is actually really big for a champion like LeBlanc, who needs to have that ultimate available to go for the crazy assassination plays that we see. Harry does have 3 points in his ult, 3 Cloud Drakes. If he's anything like me, then he has ultimate hunter as well, which is very fun. You get some crazy numbers with that too, but I don't know if he's as much of a madman as I am on that champion. He's probably a little bit more reasonable.
At this point, I know we got very excited when Immortals were able to shut down Jan, but thanks to the Baron buff being on a majority of their members, it did not dissuade Team Liquid's ability to just continue sieging. It's an open Nexus, or almost an open Nexus. As Joey's going to get chunked out of the fight, True Shot Barrage will not hit him. He'll be able to live, but Keith now under fire, under duress. He has the flash away from the pillar, but Jenkins still finds Viper. And the rest of Team Liquid, they're only staring at the members of Keith, Pretty, and Joey. They're going to try to look for the re-engage. Quickness and Grand Entrance gets a nice knock-up down, but the GA will come through. We get a resurrection in. Oh, now Team Liquid Academy, they fought through hell and back. Jan goes down again, but they still have a numbers advantage. They have the minions on their side. And Team Liquid Academy will walk away this series with the 4-0 as they even pad the KDA stats, get the ace as well. Team Liquid Academy, congratulations on a hell of a week here in the final week of the Academy regular season.
Well done, Team Liquid. They do all that they possibly can to increase their standings as well. Depending on the results of the next series, this could be enough for Team Liquid to actually get into that 2nd seed going into playoffs, which I believe gets them a bye. Now, I don't want to count 100 Thieves out quite yet, but it is a possibility as Team Liquid performed so well all throughout today and yesterday. And as a reminder, this was a comeback victory. Immortals had an amazing early game where they shut down Armeo. They killed him twice in 4 minutes, and Viper got an amazing dive off, was up so much CS against Jenkins, but doesn't even matter.
Team Liquid, this is the fight where things just really swung into Team Liquid's favor, because at this point, they were 4,000 gold down, but being able to funnel the members of Immortals into this choke point, pulling Viper's teleport for him not to get anything, and then the chase happens, the shutdown coming through, is specifically for Jan, is such a huge monster and menace at this point in the game. And then you just get to see Team Liquid being able to just continuously barrage down onto Immortals Academy.
Barrage, true shot, I think is what you're looking for, because Jan performed so well on this Ezreal. All of this damage. I don't want to see the damage chart, because I'm sure he has dealt like 40% of his team's damage in the game.
That would be
like,
nice.
The poke is crazy on this champion. And it started just from 2 items, but he was able to afford 3 more after that. Not that it really mattered all that much. The first 2 is all that he really needed. So many kills in this Ezreal, so much damage. And for Team Liquid, the performance from their bot lane is exactly what they needed, because their top side was really not having a very fun time against the Immortals' signature aggression up there.
It was it was definitely the direst treatment for Jenkins in the top lane, as being down 40-50 CS against the Kalista top lane as Gangplank feels awful, but the mental was strong enough for Jenkins to be able to, hold into his mind. And, thankfully, as we said before, Harry and Yon being able to find advantages of their own on the bottom half of the map was enough for Team Liquid to swing back into the game. And, for Immortals Academy, yeah, they go 2-2. It's not the dominant 4-0 that they were looking for, and this still puts them at 6 seed going into Academy playoffs, but they can hold their heads high knowing that they did manage to get into playoffs and they don't have to play through UGP. And going through the playoff season, you're going to have best of fives to be able to show more adaptations, so it's something for Immortals Academy to look forward to and work on continuously. But for Team Liquid Academy, we do have our interview with Ayla on standby, as we'll be able to ask him. First of all, awesome stuff, Ayla. Congratulations on the 4-0. You guys are not quite cemented at 2nd seed, but, if 100 Thieves Academy were to either it's drop a game or 2 games against Dignitas, then you would be put at 2nd seed. Looking back on this summer season, Ayla, what do you think this squad was super... yeah, bring the whole squad in! It's a 4-0, get the whole squad in! Let's go! Yeah, I mean, if they want to join. If they don't want to join, if they just want to be idly in the back there. But, yeah, looking back on the summer regular season, what do you feel like was one of the biggest improvements that this team made overall by the end?
Going to the split, we came off like not the best split one. We did well. Northern Arena fell off in Proving Grounds, but going to the split, we wanted to prove ourselves as one of the best teams. Show that we could take it all. So, one of the biggest improvements I thought was like our shot calling and like mid game, like prowess, and I think we really improved on it throughout the split. Having John leave our team and having Nori come in was like one of our biggest focuses. So I think we really improved on that, and then we showed it today and yesterday that we could, like, in the mid game, we could just take over the game and not give the enemy team a single window to come through.
Absolutely. You guys, it was a really nice week from you. And Ayla, I don't know if you know this, but I am actually your biggest fan, and I have been for all of year, ever since you came over to NA. What would it take for you to sign my spatula here? What would I need to do?
Just send it over and I would do it for free. You don't have to do anything.
Let's
go!
Anytime.
All right. Very, very kind of you. I'll have to take you up on that eventually. Because Rafa here can verify, I have been singing your praises for the entire year. I've really enjoyed watching your play, especially the Rel. You had an amazing game on that one. What was the thing that led you to pick that champion for the first game today?
Yeah, I mean, Rel, basically the nerf on Rel was reverted this patch. So I think she's returned to some of her former glory, and she's just a very, like, strong champion that has a lot of, like, playmaking. You can, like, ult the whole enemy team, pump them up, win the team fight for your team. So I really enjoyed playing her, and, like, in that game, they had immobile ADCs, like, really, really got a good opportunity. So I saw it, and it's a perfect champ for it.
Absolutely. I guess I'm gonna have to pull her out in solo queue again. You've inspired me, Ayla.
Again, Ayla, thank you so much. Before we let you go and celebrate, obviously, with all of your teammates, are there any other shout-outs that you would like to give before you go?
Yeah, shout out to all my teammates. We had a wild split with so many subs, things going wrong, like dropping series that we shouldn't have. So really proud of my team for, like, pulling through. We ended up 4-0 this last week, which is what I really wanted. And yeah, like, to everyone else, be scared of us. We're gonna Smurf.
Okay, fighting words from Ayla. I love it. Again, congratulations on the 4-0. Go celebrate with your boys and tell the rest of the team and Spawn we said hi, and congratulations again, Ayla.
I appreciate it.
Oh, the Reddit.
Starstruck.
Yeah.
I'm his biggest fan. I literally am. If you think you're a bigger Ayla fan than I am, you're wrong.
I won't contest you on that.
I was talking to the chat. If anyone's out there in the chat thinking you're a bigger Ayla fan, no, it's me. Unless it's like literally his mom. I don't want to. I don't want to moms out there.
Oh my god.
Anyway, take us out, Rafa.
Like Smack said, we're going to be preparing for one last series of the day, ladies and gentlemen. It is going to be 100 Thieves taking on Dignitas Quantum Pay Academy. Make sure you stay tuned in because you don't want to miss out on the last series of the regular Academy summer season. We'll be back.